like to talk about opting out of parenthood. With Mother's Day coming up, there's going to be a lot of good information out there about parenting, so I thought I'd change it up a bit and give a different perspective on things. So I opted out of parenthood, and so I have no idea what it's like to be the mother to a human animal, only dogs. So the only thing I can speak on with any experience is the opting out and all the challenges that has brought, unique challenges, because you wouldn't think so, but for some reason, when you tell people, especially when you're a woman and you tell people that you are not having kids, for some reason you get a whole lot of questions and shocked reactions and a lot of fallout from that. So I don't know why anyone thinks that it's any of their business for, when anyone at all decides that they don't want to be a parent. But for some reason, people like to stick their noses in other people's business. So I kind of developed a sense of humor about it, though, over the years, and I have a little streak of mischief in me, so that tends to come out sometimes when people ask things, nosy questions. So one time I was hanging out with my second husband and some of his acquaintances. The wives asked about children and like if I had any and stuff, and I said no, and I'm not planning on it. And they're like, why not? Like I had just, it was so appalling. And so I said, I'm barren, like Holly Hunter on Raising Arizona. And you should have seen the looks on their faces. They were horrified. And then I laughed and I was like, just kidding. I don't want any. And then they went from horrified to judgmental really fast. And so, those are I had to ask, answer why not and all of that stuff. And my second husband and I, neither one of us wanted kids. So we were both on the same page with that. But, and I've also had a guy, in the last couple of years, I went on a date with the guy, and he threw a new question out there. He was like, so most women your age have children. I was like, yeah. He said, but you don't? And I said, no. And he said, how? So I answered him, gave him the correct answer, which is I've been careful and I planned not to, be a parent. So, and he's like, you never been pregnant or anything? And I'm like, no, not even a little bit pregnant. But I told my best friend later, I really wanted to say, I sacrificed my potential young in a monthly blood ritual in order to preserve my youthful appearance as long as possible. Because, oh man, that would have been really funny to say. And I always think of those responses after the fact. But, that was a weird question. How? And I just get hit with some of the nosiest questions. And just in general, for some reason, people think it's completely socially acceptable to ask the most nosy, personal questions when it comes to having children, giving birth, and all of the stuff that comes after. So right after I got married the first time, I worked for this man that asked me, have you started trying for children yet? And I was like, I thought to myself, didn't say this, I wanted to though, like, dude, do you know what you are asking me? Break it down into all its steps. Do you really know what you were asking me? do you need me to break it down for you 3, 2, 1 contact style? This is, that's a very personal question. And if he did break it down, you know, into its actual, what he was really asking, that would be grounds for termination right there. He would, you know, if he asked me what he was really asking me, that would be something, an offense that would be grounds for termination, for sure. So I don't know why people would think it's socially acceptable, perfectly acceptable, to rephrase that question into, are you trying to have kids yet? Because it means the same thing. So, are you having unprotected sex yet? That's, I don't see why anyone thinks that that's any of their business. And I've also noticed that, like, when people have children, like when they are, you know, have new babies, that they think it's just fine to say to someone, like to a woman or a man, even like asking him about his wife, are you breastfeeding? Like, why would you ask that question? What does it matter? What does it matter how or what they're feeding their baby? What does that matter? And whose business is it? Nobody's but theirs. And like, why not rephrase that question into, are you bottle feeding? If you're so curious about it, that question doesn't involve anybody's body parts. Like, why do we think it's just okay to ask people about the parts that they are basically forced to cover up, you know, just for societal laws and everything? Why is it okay to ask people what they're doing with their body parts? I don't understand that, and I don't think it's okay. I know I'm kind of the weird one here. I know I'm the one with social problems and communication problems, but I don't understand why it would be okay for someone to ask those kinds of questions, but it wouldn't be okay for me to just straight up ask someone, you know, why we do something an extremely inefficient way, you know, work or just civilization in general, society, you know, social rules, anything like that. Why are these questions that I would want to ask so faux pas, but it's okay to ask if somebody has started having unprotected sex with the goal of reproducing? That is just, I don't get that. I don't understand that whatsoever. That is so weird to me. Is it just me? Is it weird to anybody else that would be okay? So, but there's lots of reasons why I chose to opt out and not become a mother. And, you know, some of those reasons are, you know, were my health, because I have always had migraines, sensory issues. Even before I was diagnosed with autism and didn't know what to call it, I knew I had migraines and sensory issues. And I have Raynaud's and arrhythmia, autoimmune problems, hypermobile, EDS. So I had plenty of things that would make it physically not fun for me. And so I just thought, well, that part of it is, you know, that's not gonna make it really easy on me anyway. But and I just didn't think it would be a really good idea for me to do that. And, you know, with the sensory issues, the migraines particularly, and the sound sensitivity, like, I need to be able to control my environment, and I wouldn't even begin to know how to do that with, you know, having a child, because there wouldn't always be someone available to, let's say, take the baby in the other room or anything like that. So I just thought it was the logical decision to not have children when I have so many sensory issues and things like that. That's one part of it, a small part of it. It wasn't like oh, I want children, but I have these health problems. Those were just good reasons. You know, if anyone asked, those are good reasons. So I never wanted children. From the time that I got creeped out by my baby doll's little freaking weird human eyes, I never wanted babies. I never wanted a child. And I remember seeing one of my mom's pregnant friends when I was a kid, and when they, told me that she was expecting a baby, because I asked what was happening there. I told my mom, when I grow up, I'm not going to have a baby in my belly. And they thought that was so funny. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so I just never wanted one. And whenever I got in high school, my mom thought it would be a good idea for me to work, to babysit and work daycares in the summer and work an after school program for kids and stuff like that. So that when, she said, not if, I became a mother, I would basically already know what to do. All that did was make me very aware and certain that I did not want to have my own children. Those kids were fun. They were entertaining. They were very cool kids. And I was totally fine with them. And I liked the kids. And I was also very relieved to send those kids home with their parents at the end of the day. And I would go home with migraines. Oh my gosh. So, and just, of course, I'm sure that probably contributed to some of the meltdowns, but that were labeled panic attacks back then. But anyway, so yeah, I decided that experience showed me what it could be like. And somebody one time said, oh yeah, that shows you exactly what parenting's going to be like. And I said, yeah, it gave me a really good idea of how well I would handle parenting, because if I can't handle that situation without burnout or whatever, then it's absolutely certain that I can't handle parenthood without having any kind of burnout. It's the same thing. Like, if you can't handle a drop of water, you probably don't need to throw me in the ocean. So that was just a good indicator, like a good little litmus test there for me. So there was that. I just never saw myself as a mother either. I didn't have really a motherly instinct. I'm more fairy godmother material, not mom. So my best friend has a little girl, and she's absolutely wonderful. She is so funny and smart and creative, curious, and I have a lot of fun when I hang out with her and her mom, and she's an awesome little person. She's totally awesome. And I'm so happy that she is her mother's daughter and not mine, because I think that contributes a lot to her awesomeness. So, it's not that I don't like kids. I like kids. I like other people's kids. I just don't want one of my own, and never have. So I think that it should be perfectly acceptable to people that that's my choice. And these people who like to say that people who don't want kids are selfish, that is the absolute opposite of the truth. People who don't want kids and don't have kids are unselfish, because it would be selfish to pressure someone else into having a child because you wanted one. You wanted them to have one. The people that get really preachy about other people being selfish about it are usually the ones that are the most selfish. And in all things, if somebody accuses you of being selfish, I've just noticed a pattern. I notice those things, and nearly every single time in my life that somebody's accused me of being selfish, it's because they were selfish and I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do. So there's usually that thing happening. But there's also a very rare reason why I don't have kids. And even, even if I wanted them, this would probably prevent me from having them. But this just happens to also be co-occurring with the not wanting them. I am tokophobic. I'm tokophobic. I have tokophobia. I have a fear of pregnancy and childbirth. Like a phobia. For real. So, and I'm even afraid of being around pregnant women. I know it's not contagious, but it freaks me out so bad. I just think it's like, I see it and I'm just like, oh my gosh, an alien's gonna pop out of there anytime, just like, and like, just like Alien. I know it's gonna happen. It scares me. I don't want to be around pregnant women. I can't even think about childbirth without getting squirmy and completely uncomfortable and feeling a little nauseated and clammy. Like some people can watch those people that are climbing towers, like the cell tower climber videos, when it's showing you the long drop down. Like those tower videos get me feeling all sweaty and clammy. But also just thinking about childbirth does that same thing to me. And I just can't be thinking about that. And I definitely can't imagine experiencing that. Can you imagine being tokophobic and getting pregnant? You'd be screaming every time you saw yourself in the mirror. So I wanted to avoid being terrified of myself in the mirror and looking down just and seeing that and being horrified. I don't even know how that could even possibly work. If you were terrified, if you have a phobia of what's going on with your own body, I mean, I guess it's kind of the same thing. I guess if someone was, I don't know if it's the same thing with hypochondria, maybe, but I don't know. I'm not hypochondriac, but if you were constantly terrified, 9 months straight of what was happening with your body, and then of course, at the end of that, it's not going to be pleasant, and it's not going to just be like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. No. No, I'm sure nobody has ever thought that as they're getting ripped from the V to the A or C-section or anything. So, yeah, that just wouldn't work for me. But, oh, yeah. So, I don't understand why anyone would call me selfish, though, for not wanting to have children, or anyone, it's not like it's the most selfless act in the world. There are so many people on this planet, a lot of them orphans, who really need someone to take care of them and don't have anyone. So if it was really a selfless act, wouldn't you adopt a child that needed to be taken care of instead of creating a new one just because you want your own DNA involved? So, this is, really just targeting the people who like to tell people they're selfish. This isn't like your just normal parents out there doing their awesome parenting thing with, being good people. So, yeah. I don't know why anybody would call anyone like that selfish, that, just decided not to add to the overpopulation and environmental strain and all of that, and decide to take care of dogs instead, or cats, or horses, baby goats, chickens, tarantulas, whatever your little creature of choice is, you know. And I don't think those people should be excluded from Mother's and Father's Days because they are taking care of a little life. Whoa, there's a squirrel. Yeah, oh, okay, and somebody almost rear-ended me because I stopped for a squirrel. Oopsie. But yeah, so there we go. I respect life. Anyway, so yeah, there's there are a lot of good reasons for me not to have children. Slamming on the brakes while driving down the road for a squirrel is probably one of those reasons. Anyhow, so I guess that's probably all for now.